This is Second Maccabees chapter 6, verse 30. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, It is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten, but in soul am well content to suffer these things because I fear him. Verse 31. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. First and foremost, I want to give our praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakwadash, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations to the elders and Akim who are pushing this truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Kahan from the GMS Dallas camp, coming with a quick. I hope this lesson is edifying to the flock, right? So I started off with Second Maccabees chapter 6 because the scripture is making reference to the story of Eleazar. He was a priest who, rather than eating swine's flesh and defiling himself, he accepted death, right? So his story is actually an exhortation to bear the affliction, and to have valiant, to have courage, while going through while going through something torturous, going through death, right? So, we must understand, as we're approaching darker times, in this wicked kingdom, we must be willing to endure great tribulations. We even endure, a lot of people who may die, you know. Uh, So I'm going to read a little bit of this passage, this article, kind of bring out two main points that this article is making reference. One of the main points is that the Igbos, who basically people who came from Nigeria, they are the a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Because they suffer the curses as prophecy dictates, right? And another point that I wanted to bring out is that, you know, uh, how these particular uh, Israelites, how they met their end. They had similar tones as to Eleazar in Second Maccabees chapter 6. So I'm going to bring out this article, read a little bit, and give a couple of precepts. Hopefully, it'll be edifying. Okay. All right. So this article says Igbo landing, remembering enslaved Africans who chose death over slavery by walking into the ocean. Right. It says, faced with the reality of being slaves in a foreign land, Igbo people chose death as they walked into the ocean and drowned while still chained to each other. Right. It was one of the first documented acts of rebellion from the people of Africa. And again, we're not Africans. We're Hebrew Israelites against white slave traders, right? And again, there's no such thing as white. This would their biblical nationality is known as the Edomites, so-called whites, right? It was the year 1803, and 75 West Africans, again, Israelites, with a majority of them being Igbo, were sold for $100 each to John Cooper and Thomas Spalding. Originating from Nigeria, the Israelites, I'm going to use the word Israelites, the Israelite people were renowned for their industriousness, independence, and pride in their work. John Cooper and Thomas Spalding bought the Israelite people with the intention of taking them to work on plantations in St. Simon's Island, Georgia, right? It says they were packed onto a slave ship, but as the ship neared Georgia, the Israelite people rebelled and took over the ship, killing the captain and some of the crew, right? And again, I just wanted to point out that, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, verse 15, let me go ahead and get that. Let me get because this is according to prophecy, that, the Hebrews would go into slavery. They will be taken captive into a foreign land, right? So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Right? So a part of those curses was slavery, pursuant unto Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. Let me get that real quick. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships." And again, Egypt is just a reference to house of bondage, because as we understand the scriptures, the Israelites were not taken into ships in Egypt, right? It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." And again, throughout all these different kingdoms, we have been slaves. We have been the captives, right? So it's just showing you another example in history that so-called Igbos were and are the uh, part of the children of Israel, right? And that's one of the reasons why I chose this article, because my family, they came from Nigeria, so in this modern language, we will be known as Igbos, but of course, pursuant to the scriptures, we are Hebrew Israelites, right? So let me get so like right. So let me go back to the article real quick, because something that I want to point out real quick. It says, according to most oral uh, retellings of the legend, Igbo people walked into the ocean while chained, choosing dignity in Salaki. Choosing dignity. It just jumped up Salaki. Choosing dignity in death as opposed to living a life of slavery. By the water spirits we came, and by the water spirits we will be taken home, they reportedly sang as they walked into the creek. You cannot be an enemy of the land you are a part of. That's the point I wanted to bring out. Because a person's land is a person's identity, right? Your identity is who you are. Your identity is connected to the land, where you can be free to live as you want. Your land gives you a sense of belonging, recognition, gives you peace. And without having a connection to the land, you have no identity. You have no history. That's why we cry unto Yahweh Shem Shai to deliver us from this wicked land and bring us back to our land, which is Israel, right? Yasharallah, right? So that's why kind of it connects with that with 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 the second Maccabees, with the priest Eleazar, because in your enemy's land, he's going to force you, he's going to compel you to do things that are abominable, do things that will go against your beliefs, right? And ultimately, you're gonna want to, be removed. You're gonna want to not have that type of existence, being a slave in your enemy's land. So if you're in a foreign land, you're going to be isolated. You're not going to know the language. You're not going to know the system. Ultimately your identity becomes lost. But call Allah Yahweh Shem Shai for this truth. And the Comforter had brought us back to ourselves, brought us back to who we were. I'm going to get a scripture. This is Baruch chapter 2, verse 30. Get that. So lucky. So like it takes long to load up. This is Baruch chapter 2, verse 30. It says, "For I know that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people." Right? Who's being referred to? It's Israel. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. And how will we remember ourselves? Well, ultimately, it's through the men of the Lord. Ultimately, it's through Yahweh Shemashah's sacrifice and Him bringing the Comforter, Him bringing the Spirit of Truth, so that it will open up our minds and bring us that unction, so that we would understand who we are, give us a sense of purpose. Right? So it says, verse 31, "And shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them an heart," and heart goes into the Hebrew word lab, which is mind, "and ears to hear." Verse 32, "And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name." And that's prophecy as well. That's what we're doing today, pursuant to Ezekiel chapter 37, where those dry bones were given water. That water represents this knowledge, this truth, so that we would have a sense of purpose and of life again. Right? We wouldn't feel that utter misery that the Ebos in that article felt, and that's why they drown themselves in the ocean. Right? We don't have that sense of despair. Why? Because we have this truth now. Right? So again, the Wadi Habash Mashah, for that comforter, right? It's giving the men of the Lord that unction, like people like myself, so that I will be brought back to my true identity. Because without the true identity, you're gonna feel a sense of hopelessness. You know, you're gonna have a sense of not understanding your drive, your direction. Right. So I'm gonna get another scripture. This is Baruch chapter 4, verse 27. It says, Baruch chapter 4, verse 27, "Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you." Right? So even though these curses were put upon us, Yahweh Shemashai has given us the spirit, to be restored back to our true identity, because identity is very, very important. Knowing who you are, knowing your purpose, knowing what power you should serve, right? Gives us a stronger foundation, so that you won't be compelled to do abominable things, like in the scripture second Maccabees chapter 6, right? Um, Eleazar was had a sense of who he was and what he believed, and he was willing to die honorably, because he feared the Most High, rather than to live a life of pollution, right? So those two stories kind of, had a spiritual undertone that, for me. So I kind of brought that out a little bit. It says, again, slavery. Uh, Living like a slave in your enemy's land is likened unto death, right? So we want to be have courage, have strength, so that um, you know we would be brought back to life. You know, let me get this real quick. This is Ephesians 6:13. Ephesians, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 13. It says, "Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand." And uh, that's what we're hoping for. That Yahweh Ratazar, in our end, we will have the courage as Eleazar did. The priest Eleazar. have the courage, you know, at least have the spirit, as those Israelite slaves, to not want to live in slavery. Not that we want to, we condone in taking your own life, but rather that you want Yahweh to deliver you. You want Yahweh to give you the spirit to endure whatever hardship um, that you may go under, with courage. You know, verse 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, right, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Right, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Right, and that's just a representation of this truth, this word. Being able to endure whatever hardship, whatever temptation, with courage, so that if the Lord, if it's in His spirit to call you up to the uh, to the heavenly doors, then at least you know that you did what you did honorably. You're right, and you're able to leave an example for others to follow in your footsteps. Right. Baba Shah, one more scripture, and then I'm gonna close it out real quick. This is Baruch chapter 5, verse 1. I'm gonna read to 5. It says, "Put off, O Jerusalem, a garment of mourning and affliction, and put on the comeliness of the glory that cometh from Yahweh forever." Right? Cast about thee a double garment of the righteousness which cometh from Yahweh, and set a diadem on thine head of the glory of the everlasting. Right? For Yahweh will show thy brightness unto every country under heaven. And again, if you do the will of the Most High, and you have courage, and uh, you know, press forward and endure to the end, you'll be rewarded. You'll be glorified, and that diadem represents like a crown. So Yahweh Bashmi Ashai will crown you and make your name uh, be known forevermore. Right. Verse 4 says, "For thy name shall be called the power for forever, the peace of righteousness, and the glory of worship of Yahweh's worship." Right. So that's what we aspire towards. Ultimately, we know that the Most High is going to glorify those whom He punish, because of the patience they were put under. You know, but because they have faith in Yahweh Shai, you know, that burden of misery will be removed, and that clothing of glory will be anointed onto you. Right. I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Akakwadash, double honors to apostles of Great Millstone, and to the Akim pushing this truth and sincerity. Say Shalom, Kwam Yashawala.